Look, hey. Hi everyone, it's Marnie and I'm back with another video, and I'm actually really excited about this one because I'm going to be recommending books/series based on different supernatural beings or supernatural creatures, as you will. And I'm just really excited. So it's just going to be like paranormal romance, fantasy, Kindle Unlimited as well. I think there's at least 4 or 3 of these books are all on Kindle Unlimited, or the series, so that's really good as well for anyone who has that. It's such a lifesaver, saves a shitload of money. I was thinking, like, should I even swear then, but I was like, yeah, fuck it. It saves a shitload of money. And yeah, if you don't have Kindle Unlimited, honestly, I would tell you it is worth it. I know a lot of people are not really sure, but yeah, definitely check it out, at least get the trial and see how you feel. So I have a list of 7 supernatural creatures, and I'm going to go down the list and name you a book or a series based on that. So let's go. First supernatural creature obviously has to be a vampire, because who doesn't love a vampire romance? I know that was so like 2014 or 13 when it was like a big craze, and we're kind of over it now, but I'm not. I still love a good vampire romance, and if you don't, I don't believe you. Anyway, so obviously like a pick would be Twilight, but cheeky little admission here, I've never actually read the Twilight books. No, I loved all the films. I have the books, and I started the first one but just kind of didn't really bother because I've seen the films so much. Maybe one day in the future I'll give them a go, but for now I haven't read them. Don't come at me in the comments. I picked A Shade of Vampire by Bella Forrest. I'll also put the other book cover that's been updated now. I've actually mentioned this before in my previous paranormal romance video. I'll link it in the description, but I just had to bring it up again because I haven't had any feedback, and if you haven't read this series, I highly suggest you go and read it. This book follows a girl called Sophia, and she's taking a midnight stroll down the beach when she comes face to face with a vampire. Now, this vampire kidnaps her and takes her to an island called the Shade that's hidden away from humans. It's like a secret little society of vampires, and there's a prophecy that the king that's been asleep for 400 years will wake when, I can't remember what it is, it's like his one true love or something, but it's like when he's in the presence of this woman, he will wake. So he wakes and they have to round up all the girls they like kidnapped that night, and he has to go through like a lineup to kind of see which one it was that woke him up, and it turns out it's Sophia, and there's this big massive storyline, and it's just really amazing. This is a very long series. I think they're up to like book 80 or something, but don't let that put you off. I promise it's worth it. It's generational, so every 7 or 8 books you stop and start like a new generation with it going, like linking back to all the original characters. Throughout the series there are so many supernatural characters, I couldn't even name them all to you here and now, but it just gets so much bigger, so much wider. It just goes absolutely mental. And of course you can stop in between the generations and you don't have to carry it on, so they can be like a 7-book series on their own. But I highly recommend you read this. It's such a fun, just like gripping read. You will just read it and read it and read it and read it. They're quite short, as you can see, and these are a Kindle Unlimited series, so you can get them on Kindle Unlimited, but I would definitely recommend you going and read this. The next supernatural creature on my list is fairy. Who doesn't love a good fairy fae book? And I went for one which was another Kindle Unlimited series that I've recently just read and my sister's just read. Oh, my kitten's just come in. Bear. Hey. Look. Hey. What am I doing? Hello. But this is Bear, everyone. Anyway, where was I? Fairies, and that is Fighting Destiny. It's the first book in the Fae Chronicles by Amelia Hutchings. I'll put it on the screen. This again is a Kindle Unlimited series. A little disclaimer in there, this book is sexy. It's quite a lot of sex, a lot of raunchy stuff in it. I wanted to throw one of these like highly sexualized books in there because I know a lot of people out there that is their thing, and I do love a good sex book, and that sounds really gross, but I do love a book sometimes that is a bit more adult. This book follows a girl called Sin, and she's a witch and part of the guild. There's like a witch organisation, and she's given an assignment to steal the diary. Is it the diary? Something to steal something from the Dark Prince of the Fae, and the job goes wrong, and she actually gets roped into and bound to the Dark Prince himself. Her sworn enemy is the Fae. She hates everything Fae, everything fairy, until she meets Ryder, the Dark Prince, and they have like a love-hate relationship going on. She doesn't want to be working with him, but the guild and the Fae have kind of come to an agreement. He's just like literally sex on a stick. Like, that's how she describes him. It's kind of cringy to say that. I've never read any book like this that handles Fae and their abilities and stuff quite like this book. The Fae actually feed on emotions, and best time to feed for the Fae is during sex, when humans and people let off so much emotions and pleasure, like they feed on it. I wouldn't say it's like one of the best series I've ever read, honestly. Different. I've not really heard anyone talk about it before, so I thought I'd just throw that in there and see if you guys want to check it out. So the next supernatural creature on my list is Angel, and for this I had a few different books. I ended up going with one that's pretty popular, and that is Hush Hush by Becca Fitzpatrick. This book is actually being made into a film. They've just cast the main characters, put them on screen, and yeah, it's quite exciting. I'm really looking forward to that at some point. So this book follows a girl called Nora, and she's not interested in romance at all. Love is not a part of her plan until she meets Patch. With his easy smile and charisma, she's drawn to him and she can't help it. But after a few terrifying encounters and a few weird things that happen, she's not quite sure that she can trust him. And when she takes it upon herself to try and find out some answers, she realises she's put herself in the smack bang in the middle of a centuries-old war between immortals and the fallen, and it's time for her to pick a side. I will give it a reread before the film comes out, just to refresh my memory, because it has been a while. Go check this one out and decide for yourself. So the next supernatural creature on my list is werewolf, and for this there was a few different books I could pick. I went for a trusty old favourite book, and that is Shiver by Maggie Stiefvater. Again, this is a widely popular book. A lot of people have read it, a lot of people love it. This book follows a girl called Grace, and she lives in this small town where a boy was murdered by wolves, and it turns the town into such a fearful and suspicious place. Except Grace can't help but be fascinated by the pack and the wolves, especially this yellow-eyed wolf that likes to visit her in her back garden, and she's just kind of fascinated by it all. And it just follows her, and obviously it's a werewolf story, so her like meeting the wolf and stuff happening from there. Again, this is a book I haven't read in years. It's been such a long time. I will have to give it another reread, but I remember really enjoying it and feeling like it was a very wholesome book, so I definitely recommend you go check this out. So the next supernatural creature is a witch. So for witch I picked True of Blood, and this is part of the Witch Fairy series by Bonnie Lamer. This series again is quite long, but it is a Kindle Unlimited series, so there's a plus there. This book follows a girl called Sandra, and she lives in the Colorado mountains with her parents, but her parents are ghosts. She's had to live up in the mountains alone with her ghosts as parents, until one day a boy shows up out of nowhere, and her mum convinces her to go with him because her life is in danger. And she follows him, and she's actually taken into the Fae realm, where she finds out that she's not only half witch, but she's also half fairy, and her dad is the king of the Fae. Sandra is the first ever witch fairy. She's both half and half, and neither of them like that, and her powers combined are extremely dangerous and extremely powerful. So it just follows her on this like journey of self-discovery and all these things that happen. I'm not going to give anything else away, but again, this is a really interesting series. I loved reading this. I haven't finished them all. I got a little bit behind a few years ago, and then just like went off on a tangent and read all these other books, so I will have to go back to it again and finish it. But yes, it's good. Go read it. That's all I'm saying. The next supernatural creature I have is an alien, and for this book obviously I picked Obsidian, the Lux series by Jennifer L. Armentrout. If you haven't read this book, I'm going to be really surprised. Ago this year I have re-listened to like the first 4 or 5 books on audiobook, and again really enjoyed them. I can't help it. It's like let's be honest, it's basically an alien version of Twilight. Like, it's so similar, but it's amazing. This book follows a girl called Kat, and she moves to West Virginia, to this tiny little town. She ends up living next door to a guy called Damon. If you have read this book, is his name Demon or Damon? I remember reading it and it was Damon. Like, of course, that's just what I read. And then I listened to the audiobooks, like I said, and they were calling him Demon, and they spoke as it was Demon, and I was like, really confused. So it's either Demon or Damon, but she moves next door to Demon, and he's hot and arrogant, and they despise each other for a while, but she becomes best friends with his twin sister Dee, and things happen. She does end up finding out that they're aliens, and there's just this massive storyline like throughout the books. I don't really know what else to tell you without giving stuff away. So it just follows this girl, teenage girl, moving across country to this small town, starting a new school, making new friends, throw aliens and romance and drama into the mix, and you have the Lux series. So if that sounds interesting to you, go read it and figure it out for yourself. There are a lot of other books. There's spin-off books. Jennifer L. Armentrout has wrote like a whole universe surrounding the Lux series. So definitely go check it out. Now, the last supernatural creature kind of that I put on the list is abilities. So just a person with like superpowers or abilities and stuff like that, not necessarily a witch or a vampire or anything like that. They're just someone who has like special abilities. For this, I picked Shadow and Bone, the Grisha trilogy by Leigh Bardugo. This series was amazing, so good. And Six of Crows, the spin-off series, let me tell you, Leigh Bardugo is a queen. Like, her writing is just amazing. But this book follows a girl called Alina, and she is just like this poor orphan girl who one day discovers that she has these magical abilities, and she's thrown into the life of the Grisha, which are like this world's magic elite, and she's thrown into the whole magic society, her thrown into like the kingdom and like the highest class of all these people and all these magical people, and just her kind of working the system. The Darkling is this man who's kind of in charge of all of the Grisha and all of the different powered people, and there's like a little thing that goes on there, but there's kind of a love triangle between her childhood friend and her and him. And anyone who's read this book and has just heard my explanation is thinking, Marnie, you have just butchered this. And I probably have. I didn't really know what else to say. I probably should be more prepared. Maybe next time I will prepare a little bit more, but definitely go read this book and read Six of Crows, because dun dun dun, this is being made into a series. They're combining the Grisha trilogy and the Six of Crows duology together, and they're going to kind of mush it together. I don't know how it's going to work because they are like 6 years apart, the series, but it's going to be so good. And they've just put they've put the whole cast together on Netflix, and I've got high expectations and I've got high hopes for this show, and I'm just really excited. If you're like me and you love TV shows and magic and powers and all that stuff as well, and you like to kind of read the books before the shows and not the shows before the books, go read them. That's the end of my books based on supernatural creatures recommendations. I hope you all enjoyed. Definitely let me know if you've read any, if you're going to read any, you know the jazz. Comment down below with anything really, or any that you want to recommend based on the books that I've shared or what you think I'll like. Definitely let me know. I'm always open to recommendations. Like, I'm always open to books. Just give them to me and I will read them. That's it for this video, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.